Hatchet is a throwback slasher film directed by Adam Green. The story follows Ben, a young man nursing a broken heart who joins a haunted swamp tour in Louisiana. When the tour goes horribly wrong and the group becomes stranded in the bayou, they discover the local legend of Victor Crowley is all too real. Trapped in the swamp, they must fight for survival against a monstrous killer with a tragic past and a brutal appetite for violence. Ben is a fairly typical horror protagonist, but he works well enough for the story. He's an ordinary guy dealing with personal issues before being thrown into extraordinary circumstances. While he isn't the most memorable lead in horror history, Joel David Moore gives him a likable and relatable quality that makes audiences want to see him survive. Victor Crowley is undoubtedly the star of the movie. Played by horror icon Kane Hodder, Crowley is a physically imposing and terrifying presence. His tragic backstory gives him a unique identity beyond simply being another masked killer, while his incredible strength and savage methods make him genuinely intimidating. Crowley feels like a love letter to classic slasher villains such as Jason Voorhees, yet he establishes enough of his own personality to stand apart. Kane Hodder's performance is excellent, relying heavily on physicality to make Crowley unforgettable. The plot is straightforward and follows a familiar slasher formula. A group of people become isolated and are hunted one by one by a relentless killer. There's very little mystery regarding where the story is headed, but the film never pretends to be anything more than an old-school slasher. What matters is execution, and for the most part, Hatchet succeeds by keeping the story moving and delivering plenty of entertainment once the action begins. The swamp setting adds atmosphere and helps distinguish the film from other entries in the genre. The script embraces the spirit of classic 1980s horror movies. It mixes dark humor, horror, and self-awareness without becoming a full parody. The writing understands exactly what kind of movie it wants to be, and rarely takes itself too seriously. That said, character development is somewhat limited, particularly among the supporting cast. Many characters exist primarily to become future victims, rather than fully realized individuals. The dialogue ranges from genuinely funny to intentionally cheesy. Some exchanges land well and help establish the film's playful tone, while others feel forced or overly exaggerated. Fans of campy horror will likely appreciate the style, but viewers looking for sharp, realistic dialogue may find parts of the script a little rough around the edges. The cast generally performs well within the film's over-the-top framework. Joel David Moore delivers a solid lead performance, while the supporting actors clearly understand the movie's blend of comedy and horror. However, Kane Hodder dominates every scene he appears in. His portrayal of Victor Crowley is easily the film's standout performance and elevates the movie considerably. The practical gore effects are spectacular and among the film's biggest strengths. The kills are creative, gruesome, and often shockingly brutal. Rather than relying heavily on computer-generated effects, the movie uses practical makeup and prosthetics to create memorable moments of carnage. The Louisiana swamp setting also contributes significantly to the atmosphere. The isolation, darkness, and murky environment create a sense of dread that enhances the tension. So what's our final verdict? Hatchet is a highly entertaining throwback to the glory days of slasher horror. It doesn't reinvent the genre, nor does it attempt to. Instead, it focuses on delivering exactly what horror fans expect: an unforgettable killer, outrageous practical effects, plenty of gore, and a healthy dose of dark humor. The film's weaknesses lie primarily in its familiar story and underdeveloped characters, but those flaws are largely overshadowed by its energy, atmosphere, and commitment to old-school horror filmmaking. If you enjoy films like Friday the 13th and other backwoods horror stories, Hatchet offers plenty to enjoy. The practical effects alone make it worth watching, and Victor Crowley stands as one of the most memorable horror villains introduced in the 2000s. Viewers looking for deep storytelling or complex characters may come away disappointed, but anyone seeking a fun, bloody, and unapologetically old-school horror experience will likely have a great time. If you liked this review, give the video a like, leave a comment, and subscribe.